I need you to understand that being a Democrat has been difficult over the last 4 years. Not just being a Democrat, but one that actually follows politics. Not like the average Hassan fan who, like, watches a streamer or two, but actually keeps up with the news and tries to be as informed as possible, especially about the current administration and what they're up to. It has been absurdly frustrating to be in that position for the last 4 years. I have done my best to... Around 6 months into Biden's administration, I started to realize that he was not only keeping a lot of his promises, but, like, overperforming the expectations I had for him. Because I have to admit, I did not like Biden before he took office. I was willing to ride with him, riding with Biden, but begrudgingly, right? But then he took office. And I proceeded to read, day by day, if I could find enough articles covering it, some of the most radical progressive change and great economic policy that has led to record low unemployment and a exponentially healing economy through his presidency. I watched it go down. Hell, just look up U.S. GDP growth year by year chart, and you can track who took office when the economy started to heal and who was in office towards the end of their presidency when the economy took a nosedive. That shit is very obvious. It's very available to you. You can just Google these things and find it immediately. And despite that, I found myself very frustrated by the fact that everybody wanted an excuse to attack Biden. For a while, it was just the idea that Biden was old. That was all it was for a while. Then eventually it was the idea that Biden wasn't pro this or that enough. And usually that was complete bullshit in the first place. And then they got something solid. The US has always supported Israel and will likely always do so. And Israel, during Biden's presidency, due to in response to Hamas, like, it wasn't completely unprompted, but it was definitely overreaching and an overreaction, I guess. Israel and the IDF declared war. I think it already... Did they officially declare war on Hamas then after October 7th, or was it already established? I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and ban you, Grimwolf, because you posted nothing but cringe in chat today. Nothing that on its own is bannable, but enough, like, non-stop cringe for long enough that... You haven't proven to me that you could post anything that's not cringe, and so I feel like that earns a ban. Sorry, buddy. No hate. No, it's not personal, kid. Nothing personal, kid. They declared war on Gaza? Maybe that's what I'm getting confused with declaring war on Hamas, is that they declared war on Gaza as a whole. Anyway, Israel, or I should say the IDF, then proceeds to do countless, like, killings upon civilians, throughout, like, Israel, or throughout, like, Gaza, Lebanon, etc., etc. Tensions escalate with, like, Hezbollah, the Houthis. All throughout Biden's presidency, tensions are just rising in this part of the world. And Biden, all the while, is desperately proposing ceasefire after peace agreement after ceasefire after treaty, just trying constantly. I think there's been over 100 now ceasefires presented by Biden. I know last I checked it was getting close to 40, and that was a year ago. So it's been a hot minute, and I wonder how many there have been at this point. So you wonder, why would they not accept, right? Like, why would neither side in many cases accept, or at least for any amount of time? Well, we found out not too long ago that Donald Trump, who has hosted Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago and who is personal friends with the president of Israel, Netanyahu, who, to be clear, Netanyahu is like the face of the Israeli nationalist movement, the people who want to continue the settlement building and expansion of Israel into Palestinian territory, who want to continue with military operations, allowing for the death of like Palestinian civilians. That Netanyahu is the face of that, okay? And he is personal friends, or Netanyahu is how it's pronounced, my bad. Netanyahu is personal friends with Trump and is the face of that entire movement within Israel and is the president, okay? As we know, Trump personally asked Netanyahu not to accept any peace agreement or ceasefire proposal during Biden's presidency, or at least until Trump wins. You need to understand that for a long time, both left and right have always been pushed away from the sitting incumbent president by any involvement in war by the US for a prolonged period. And that is what our support of Israel has been seen as for a lot of progressives. And a fair amount of lefties did not come out to vote for Kamala because they had been eating all of the propaganda about how Biden is a genocider for the last 2 years. And even if those same people claimed you should vote for Kamala anyway, or you should have voted for Biden anyway, they still spent years calling him a Genocide Joe, right? Genocide Joe, Genocide Joe. Well, now, weeks after Trump has been announced the next president, who'da thunk it? Netanyahu and Hezbollah finally accept ceasefire agreement from Biden. They don't need a constant war anymore to make sure that that Dems stay out of power. So peace in the world can now be restored. There is no need for our enemies or for right-wing interests globally to push for war now that Trump has taken office. It's time to give him the easy road as much as they can. The question is Putin going to play as nice with Trump as Netanyahu does? I don't know. Let's go ahead and see this story about it, though. It's good news regardless. President Biden announces Israel and Hezbollah have agreed to U.S.-brokered ceasefire. That means Biden-brokered ceasefire, by the way.
Prime Minister of Israel and Lebanon, I'm pleased to announce that their governments have accepted the United States proposal to end the devastating conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. I want to thank President Macron of France for his partnership in reaching this moment. For nearly 14 months, a deadly conflict raged across the border that separates Israel and Lebanon. A conflict that began the day after the October 7th.
Man, Biden's brain is melting. Look at that. His fucking eye's been closed for like 2 minutes. Not really. It's been like 10 seconds, but like still. He's like slurring his words a lot here. Man, I still think we probably should have run Biden. But at the same time, I think we should have run Kamala as his VP again. And then we should have waited for Biden to die in his second term, probably. And then just have Kamala Harris take his place for the rest of the term. I genuinely think that probably would have been more likely. Something that I think a lot of you guys have not accounted for as well is how many people saw what the Democratic Party did by ousting Joe Biden, who won the primary, and putting his VP in place as the nominee, as undemocratic. The two highest ranking issues on the ballot in this election were the economy, followed by democracy. And we interpreted that democracy point as favoring Kamala Harris because we got to protect democracy was such a talking point of the Dem Party against Trump. But a lot of people saw what the DNC did in ousting elected Biden for an unelected nominee. Both Democrat, centrist, and Republicans saw that as blatantly undemocratic. And so people likely to vote with democracy as a high ranking issue, which it was number 2 for most Americans apparently, that would imply that like that alone might have hurt Kamala Harris's chances substantially. It's not that like Harris would have done better than Biden, but the way that Harris was put into power, put into the nomination, both A, 100 days out from the election with barely any time to campaign, and B, in a way that was not democratic. You can blame Biden if you want to, because he could have stepped down and not run, but he still won the primary, right? Like, he was still popular enough to do so. So I feel like it would have been dumb for, like, in hindsight, for him not to do that, right? I don't know. I am still, to this day, I am going to be a Biden defender forever now. I have my criticisms of him, don't get me wrong, but most of the takes he has that I don't like were never acted on. Guns, for example. Biden, I don't think, passed any anti-gun legislation at any point. I think he actually ended up technically, under his administration, the bump stock ban was undone. if I'm not mistaken. So, like, Trump was the one who actually passed anti-gun laws. Biden never did. So most of the issues where I find that I disagree with Biden or most Democrats were never touched in his presidency. I have nothing, like, I have some things, but nothing super serious to complain about. Overall, I can comfortably say Biden was the best president of my lifetime.
An attack by Hamas on Israel. Hours later, at 2 a.m. in the morning, Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations backed by Iran attacked Israel in support of Hamas. Let's be clear. Israel did not launch this war. The Lebanese people did not seek that war either, nor did the United States. Over the past year, including the days immediately following October the 7th, I directed the U.S. military to flow assets and capabilities into the region, including aircraft carriers, fighter squadrons, and sophisticated air defense battery to defend Israel and deter our common enemy.
That's not just to defend Israel, by the way, as cringe as all that probably sounds to most of you. A lot of these groups are attacking world trade, like in the region, and a lot of ships have been getting like besieged, attacked, struck, that kind of thing. And so we're also putting a force there specifically to protect the trade that these groups are attacking, not even because it hurts Israel, but because it hurts like all the interests that they're against, which is most of the world at this point. I think Biden and Bernie are both remnants of former FDR Democrats, something we need more of. I don't know. I think we need more, like, we need something new, but I definitely don't hate it, you know? Like, I think it's an old era of progressivism, but, you know, there's a new one taking the stage, I think. Say what you want about Israel, a lot of our enemies are also ours. They are. The groups that want to take down Israel want to destroy America. There is a reason why we are allied with them so closely.
At critical moments. Since the war with Hezbollah began, over 70,000 Israelis have been forced to live as refugees in their own country, helplessly watching their homes, their businesses, their communities as they're bombarded and...
No, cut the feed. You can't show Biden talking about the plight of the civilians. You can't. He's supposed to be Genocide Joe, goddammit. Cut the feed.
Destroyed. And over 300,000 Lebanese people have also been forced to live as refugees in their own country. In a war imposed on them by Hezbollah. All told, this has been the deadliest conflict between Israel and Hezbollah in decades. How many of Hezbollah's senior leaders are dead, including its longtime leader, Nasrallah? And Israel has destroyed Hezbollah's terrorist infrastructure in southern Lebanon as well, including miles of sophisticated tunnels, which were prepared for an October 7-style terrorist attack in northern Israel.
I need to see Joe Biden on an upper at some point in my life, okay? I need to see what Biden can say and do when he's on an upper and he's not, like, melting. I love him, but he's melting, guys. He's melting hard here. His brain has been sundered. I mean, he's still with it, like, mentally, but he's not with it enough to, I think, be a compelling speaker and figure. I also don't know how long he's got left. I think he could realistically live like another 5 to 10 years, totally, but man, I don't know if it's going to be a comfortable 5 to 10 years, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he's entering his late life now. But God, it's rough. It's rough, and you got to remember, like, Trump is not much younger than this guy.
But lasting security for the people of Israel and Lebanon cannot be achieved only on the battlefield. And that's why I directed my team to work with the governments of Israel and Lebanon to forge a ceasefire, to bring a conflict between Israel and Hezbollah
to be clear, he's been doing this since the conflict started. He has been doing this incessantly and constantly. Do not be, like, fooled by anyone who claims that he's Genocide Joe or whatever. He has been fighting for this constantly. Israel, in some cases Hamas, Hezbollah, they will not agree to ceasefires or peace agreements. Particularly Israel won't, because Trump personally requested Netanyahu not take any peace agreement from Biden, or while Biden is president, or until Trump has been elected, because they need this to continue making the current administration look bad to all Americans that are concerned about foreign wars and foreign spending. I actually have had lefties rage deny this. Like, there are progressives out there so attached to hating Biden that I've gotten comments from lefties arguing that Trump and Netanyahu are not friends. Trump has had Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago numerous times. They've had dinner together at his personal Florida estate. He made that personal request of Netanyahu that has been held up until just after Trump's win has been announced and locked in.
It will close. Under the deal reached today, effective at 4 a.m. tomorrow local time, the fighting across the Lebanese-Israeli border will end. Will end. This is designed to be a permanent cessation of hostilities. What is left of Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations will not be allowed, I emphasize, will not be allowed to threaten the security of Israel again. Over the next 60 days, the Lebanese army...
By the way, it speaks volumes to Biden's integrity that he's leaving office and yet still heading these things. He's still trying to end this conflict. It seems like, at this point, he's just like, you know what? With what time I've got left in office, I'm going to do as much good as I can. And that really demonstrates his integrity. After getting fucked over by the DNC, ousted from his hard-earned and elected to nomination, to like being nonstop defaced and denigrated by every outlet and direction through his presidency. Now he's not even running anymore. He's got no reason to really cement his legacy as a good one anymore. Like, he doesn't need to, and yet he's still trying to do as much good as possible before he leaves office. I think it speaks volumes.
And state security forces will deploy and take control of their own territory once again. Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure in southern Lebanon will not be allowed to be rebuilt. And over the next 60 days, Israel will gradually withdraw its remaining forces. And civilians on both sides will...
True, it would be based if Biden just gave Ukraine like 12 nukes and said, have fun. Have fun, guys. Do whatever you want with these. We don't care.
Soon be able to safely return to their communities. And begin...
We got to give it to them in secret. There can't be any paper trail. Russia can't find out they're from us. It just has to be like Ukraine says, oh, we've got our own nuclear program now. We have 12 nukes we have unveiled. Want to fuck with us, Putin?
And to rebuild their homes, their schools, their farms, their businesses, and their very lives. We're determined.
Oh yeah, they just happen to be as sophisticated as American nukes. Yeah, real scary how we can do that now, huh? Yeah, y'all should fuck off. That would be great. I hope Biden does this. I hope he is currently having like a top secret SEAL Team 6 under the ocean like minecart rail built to send in total stealth these 12 nukes across the planet over to Zelensky, where a top secret Ukrainian like special forces team is going to be there to extract and collect and bring the nukes to a secure site for possible future use. Come on, Biden. Come on, Dark Brandon. It's time to awaken.
This conflict will not be just another cycle of violence. And so the United States, with the full support of France and our other allies, has pledged to work with Israel and Lebanon to ensure that this arrangement is fully implemented, the agreement totally implemented. You know, there will be no U.S. troops deployed in southern Lebanon. This is consistent with my commitment to the American people to not put U.S. troops in combat in this conflict.
Dude, imagine the second he gets out of office, all of his speaking engagements are super awake and alert, and we find out that Joe Biden was getting on average 4 hours of sleep every night for the last 4 years because he was working so hard to do so much as How bad would you feel about all the Sleepy Joe and old comments if he's just a spring chicken, like a week after he leaves office, and he's just like, yeah, guys, you know I was only getting 4 hours of sleep every night. Ah, man, it feels so good to get a full 8 hours again. I will literally cry if that ends up happening. They won't care. I'll care. That's all that matters.
Instead, we, along with France and others, will provide the necessary assistance to make sure this deal is implemented fully and effectively. Let me be clear. If Hezbollah or anyone else breaks the deal and poses a direct threat to Israel, then Israel retains the right to self-defense consistent with international law, just like any country when facing a terrorist group pledged to that country's destruction.
Basically, of course, like always, this is a temporary peace. This region is going to be embroiled in conflict for our lifetimes, likely. But we'll probably have months or maybe a couple years of relative quietness between Lebanon and Israel. And maybe following, we might see some relative quietness in Gaza in regards to conflict between Hamas and the IDF. The deal has already been broken. Is conflict going to wind back up? I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense that it would break, like, immediately. Is this breaking news? Ah, can't click. Yeah, it is. Holy shit. Israel and Hezbollah trade accusations of ceasefire violations. Come on, guys. The Israeli military said its Air Force struck a facility used by Hezbollah to store mid-range rockets in southern Lebanon on Thursday, after both sides accused each other of breaching a ceasefire that aims to halt over a year of fighting. Israel said it also opened fire on Thursday towards what it called suspects, with vehicles arriving at several areas in the southern zone, saying it was a breach of the truce with Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah, which came into effect on Wednesday. Hezbollah lawmaker... Okay, I feel like these things should take, like, a few days, you know? Like a few days for everyone to just, like, settle down and get their weaponry stowed away so there's no misinterpretations made, you know? Yeah, just a few day grace period on it, just in case some shit pops off as things are calming down. You know, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. The Israeli enemy is attacking those returning to the border villages, Fadlallah told reporters, adding, "There are violations today by Israel, even in this form." I don't doubt that. The Lebanese army later accused Israel of violating the ceasefire several times on Wednesday and on Thursday. The exchange of accusations highlighted the fragility of the ceasefire, which was brokered by the U.S., states, and France to end the conflict, fought in parallel with the Gaza war. The truce lasted for 60 days in the hope of reaching a permanent cessation of hostilities. Israel's airstrike on Thursday was the first since the truce took effect on Wednesday morning. Lebanese security sources and the Al Jadid broadcaster said it took place near Bassaria, north of Litani River. The ceasefire deal stipulates that unauthorized military facilities south of the Litani River should be dismantled, but does not mention... Oh, cool, an ad popped up and blocked my view. But does not mention military facilities north of the river. Well, guys, we did it. We did it. Guys, we have a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. We did it, and it's gone. Fuck! God damn it, dude. We ain't ever seeing world peace in our lifetimes, are we? Well, listen, you can't heap that on Biden. You can't heap that on Biden. Biden's doing his best. Man, bro cannot catch a break. He cannot catch a break, and frankly, neither can the civilians in Lebanon or Gaza. Ah, shit. Here we go again. Anyway, guys, if you somehow enjoyed this segment, then please consider leaving a like and a comment. It really does help a ton, forcing YouTube to push my content and the algorithm to far more new viewers, and it really just means a ton to me. now we're striving for the golden 1 million subscriber play button. That is going to be a long and a hard-earned road, so consider helping me walk it by hitting that like button and leaving a comment. Subscribe and ring the bell icon too if you want to help as well, and follow my social medias linked down below in the description if you want to see more from me, especially my Blue Sky, which I'm getting a lot more active on these days, and of course, don't forget to join my fan Discord, where I host gaming events, call-in streams, and watch parties once a week, usually on Fridays. I think I'm doing it tomorrow, which happens to be Friday. It actually works out perfectly. So yeah, tomorrow is a good example of that because I do it every Friday. So I hope to see you guys there. We're gonna be watching the final 2 episodes of season 3 of From, and probably like 1 or 2 episodes of The Walking Dead as well. It's gonna be a grand old time. So I hope to see you all there. And of course, finally, if you haven't already, consider supporting me directly to help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or even buying merch through the Streamlabs link down below if you want some. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.